Hello, friend. That's lame. Maybe I should give you another name. Could've seen if you understood that reference.
I do. I understood that reference.
Hi, I'm Mr. Juju. This is my YouTube channel, and I wanted to talk to you guys today about a character that is very near and dear to me, and that would be Batman. You guessed it right. So I love Batman, and I love all Batman media. I've loved him since I was a child. As a matter of fact, my 4th birthday was Batman Brave and the Bold theme. So yeah. With Batman, a character who's existed for at least more than 80 years, I know it's a really long time, there's been plenty of Batman stories and plenty of different people to take up the cowl. One of my favorites being Terry McGinnis from the show Batman Beyond. Batman Beyond was a show that aired in 1999, and it starred a whole different new original character taking up the mantle of Batman in the future. Insane. The show itself is also like part of an extended universe, mostly connected to the previous Batman show, Batman the Animated Series. Amazing show, by the way. I highly recommend you check out Batman the Animated Series. It is peak Batman content, if I'm being honest here. But also as well, Batman Beyond is also peak Batman content. But back to Batman Beyond. So Batman Beyond is connected to that universe, and it takes place 40 years after said show. The show mainly focuses on a troubled teenager by the name of Terry McGinnis.
Hey, I thought you were in solitary.
I gave myself time off for good behavior.
Who takes up the mantle of Batman after his father is brutally murdered by a gang of jokers, or so we think. But I encourage you to check out the show for yourself to find out whether or not that's true. But for today, we're here to talk about Terry McGinnis, the man himself, as throughout the show, he just proves that he is a character who is up and ready to take the mantle of the Bat, and he proves that he's worthy for said mantle. But here's a fun fact about Terry. He is actually a show original character. He did not appear in comics before his show debut. He did, however, end up making his own debut in comics. Whether or not that's in main continuity, I'm not sure yet. Sometimes it's insinuated, but I'll get back to you on that, whether or not. But with that information being unveiled to you now, I want to talk about one of my favorite comic book stories of all time regarding Terry McGinnis, Batman Beyond Neo Year, which came out last year, actually. And let's get to it. For some additional context within the show Batman Beyond, Terry, when he takes up the mantle of Batman, he's also helped by Bruce Wayne, who is still alive at this point. He's just very, very, very old and obviously physically cannot be Batman anymore and very jaded and grumpy at this point. But he's there for Terry as the sort of mentor figure throughout the story. And like throughout the entire series, Terry has Bruce to help him out throughout the entirety of his time as Batman. Now, in Batman Beyond Neo Year, the comic book, it literally starts out with Bruce Wayne straight up dying. In my physical copy of this story, when I open it up, it literally shows that Bruce Wayne is just straight up dying and Terry walks in on what's happening. So what happens is this AI is sort of kind of born, and it straight up overloads Bruce's pacemaker, and he just straight up dies from that. And Terry's just kind of like, what the hell? And so it throws us straight in there and emphasizes the fact that Terry is now alone, because the whole premise of the show was that he had Bruce there to help him learn how to become Batman and be Batman throughout his career. But now what I love about the story is it takes that aspect away from Terry, and now he has to learn to be Batman on his own. And so once that happens, Terry overloads the Batcave and it straight up blows up as he's walking out. And when this is happening, he delivers one of the coolest lines ever while he's walking out. And it's this panel of him just walking out, like unmasked, and he's saying, "I am Batman," and while the Batcave is just blowing up behind him. And it's amazing and beautiful to look at. Something I also want to highlight about this story is initially when Terry finds Bruce, Bruce still has like a little bit of moments left before he finally succumbs to the pacemaker, killing him. He pretty much tells Terry that he was wrong about him with certain assumptions he had about Terry, because Terry was a troubled teenager when they first met. Like, he had been in and out of juvie both his parents were divorced and he was living with his father at the time. And he was a very disobedient child and like got into a bunch of trouble during high school.
Again.
Mom would hear me out.
You're not living with your mom.
Don't remind me.
That's your problem right there. You can't control your temper, and you'd better if you expect to get anywhere in life.
Yeah, I'll be a big success, just like you.
And everything like that. And always full of anger and brashness. And Bruce never thought that Terry could be Batman. He thought he was someone who could never learn to be patient and have the discipline to become Batman. But while this is happening, it starts to focus on Terry going out and trying to find out who killed Bruce exactly. And he just starts going after everybody in the town, like future versions of certain crime families that were around when Bruce first became Batman. Random gangs that just exist. Like, he's just trying to find out who killed Bruce. And like Bruce is monologuing in the background, like just talking about how he failed as Batman, or at least how he thinks he failed as Batman. And he, in his last moments, he straight up tells Terry that he is Batman. It cuts off to the panel where Terry says, "I am Batman," but his few final words were that, "I was vengeance, I was the night, but you," and then it cuts to Terry saying, "I am Batman." So after Terry starts initiating a protocol to blow up the Batcave, he escapes up through the manor, and he's running through the manor. And while he's doing this, he's passing by spots of significance to Bruce when he was a child. So in one panel, he runs straight past a portrait of Bruce Wayne's parents, Thomas Wayne and Martha Wayne. And in this panel, we see a little flashback memory of Bruce right after they were murdered. And in that panel, he says, "I shall become a bat." And then he also runs past a chair and a window, which is a reference to Batman Year One, where a bat crashes through the window, and Bruce realizes what symbol he's going to use as a vigilante at night. And then also, when he runs out of the cave, first off, he scrolls past a memory of Bruce showing Terry around the cave in the early days. And it's just an amazing highlight. I just wanted to point that out. Now, if you had the physical copy like I do, which is the entire volume of the full story, that's what you would see when you would open it up. But if you just had the single issues, it would open up to Terry just being Batman on his own. That original first part with Bruce and Terry was featured in Batman Urban Legends number 7, which predates this story by, like, I say around a year, give or take. So yeah. Now we follow Terry on his solo adventures with Batman. Now, one thing I'd like to mention is that Terry isn't rich like Bruce is. Like, one major thing about Batman is the fact that he was a rich man. Like, he had resources to become Batman. And Terry was only able to really become Batman because Bruce had those resources and they were working together for Terry to be Batman. Now, with Terry blowing up the Batcave, he kind of, got rid of all the resources he had. And with Bruce being dead as well, he doesn't have any real new avenues to get those resources. Another thing to note is that since this is also in the future, the Batsuit also has new developments in innovations to help combat future crime. So this Batsuit specifically has camo. It has rocket boots, which use jet fuel. It also has retractable glider wings. A bunch of gadgets that come with the suit, like such as batarangs, grapplers, stuff like that. Just your general run-of-the-mill Batman stuff. But the thing is, the suit runs off of power. And so this is an important thing within the story because Terry doesn't have these resources anymore. So every time he suits up as Batman, he has to be careful and keep in mind what he's using because he's very, very limited right now. Now, since we know that he has limited resources, Terry already doesn't have that many allies to begin with. He was allies with the commissioner of police in Gotham, but we find out that she's retiring. She was also Barbara Gordon, who was the previous Batgirl back in the day when Bruce was Batman. And so when he finds out that she's retiring, he's like, oh, well, this isn't good for me. One thing about Terry is that he's way more trusting of people than Bruce was as Batman. So he actually goes out and makes allies. Like, there's this detective named Bima Booma, something like that. It's a ridiculous name, but it's the future, so can we really complain? He makes allies with her, and he also makes allies with this really weird, like, computer thing named We Are Gestalt. Like, it's just these three pilots. It's fresh. It's very new and it's very odd. I can't quite like put my finger on it yet, but they come out to be very helpful to him, and he straight up just reveals his identity, which is why I say he's way more trusting of people than Bruce is. But he's also desperate because he doesn't really have any allies against this new super intelligence AI, as well as this new guy who just took over Wayne Powers Industries, which was Bruce's company. And so he's kind of on the rocks, and he kind of has to use every little thing he can get, even if it is strange allies and stuff like that. But those were just a few highlights of the story I just wanted to mention. I highly recommend you go and check this story out on your own. It's available online or in comic book stores and stuff like that. I read it legally, don't worry. But yeah, no, I just wanted to talk about that like very briefly, and let me know if you want me to talk more about this story, because it is genuinely an amazing story. I'd also like to mention that I love the art done by Mr. Dunbar, I believe his name is. If not, I'll correct it in editing. But yeah, no, I just wanted to mention that, and thank you for watching. This is Mr. Juju.
The voice kept calling me Bruce. In my mind, that's not what I call myself.
What do you call yourself? Oh yeah, I suppose you would. But that's my name now.